Welcome back to the Julia Journal. Well, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that 47,000 Americans took their own lives in 2017. That's 2,000 more than recorded in 2016. The national suicide rate overall has increased 33% between 1999 and 2017. With us today on the line, I have Serita Reels from Salle University. Salle began training its student staff with virtual humans to help prevent suicide on campus. These avatars converse with the real humans on the training module, allowing their staff to go through several real-life scenarios before encountering them in the field. Welcome to the show, Serita.
Well, thank you for having me. Good to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. And, it's so sad that this, epidemic is growing. We hear about it. We hear about young people, especially, choosing to take their own lives. So tell us a little bit about, what LaSalle is doing in this program using avatars. It sounds very innovative.
Yeah, so in 2017, the university received a grant from the Garrett Lee Suicide Prevention Grant from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. And the grant was given to us to develop comprehensive, well-coordinated suicide prevention and mental health services for students, for college students. And so we have taken a holistic approach in doing this. And so one of the things that we have decided to do is to use this Kognito interactive simulation to build awareness, mental health awareness, knowledge, and skill around how to prevent suicide and really train our students to have these really effective real-life conversations with their friends, their peers who might be in distress.
Yeah, because you just don't know what that scenario is going to look like. It's going to be different every time, but if they have an opportunity to go through those training modules, they're going to be more comfortable.
Absolutely. And the great thing about the simulation is that the user, which is our students here at LaSalle, is introduced to a group of virtual friends. And so these are the avatars. And they're all dealing with a variety of issues, real-life issues that are impacting their mental health. And so the user has to go through this training. They have to identify the student who's experiencing the most psychological distress. They have to identify the behaviors that's most worrisome to them.
Okay.
And then from there, they learn these great strategies for having a conversation with a friend. And so, how do you actively listen to someone? How do you avoid making judgments, using I statements when you're discussing these issues? And then the fun part starts where they move on to really practice those conversations with that friend who was identified as being in most psychological distress. And so they practice their conversation skills with them and, really kind of hone in on, okay, what to say and what not to say. And then from there, it directs them to resources on and off campus where they can help a friend in need.
Okay. So is this program already up and running?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We started using the simulation in September.
How many students have utilized it?
So far, we have nearly 150 students who have gone through the training.
And has anyone reached out for help through this?
Yeah. So that's an interesting question. It's an important one, and I'll just put it in context that the simulation is just one of the many strategies that we have at LaSalle to try to prevent deaths by suicide among college students. So we have a Students of Concern committee that meets weekly to help identify students who are having challenges, and we work with various departments within the university to figure out how we can best serve those students and connect them to resources. And then we have, obviously, the counseling center. And so through kind of a lot of these different approaches, we have definitely seen students utilizing more of counseling services, and really just more students are now able to feel comfortable having a conversation with their friend, just listening to their friend. So that's been really awesome.
Right, because it's out there now. I mean, people, that is kind of one of the benefits today, I guess, of social media and all of this sharing is that, you're not alone because...
Absolutely.
Let's face it, everyone has tough times in their lives for sure. Serita, how do you dance and walk around this, strike the balance where you can identify students, but also, maintain privacy and everything like that? I imagine that's a little bit trickier to handle to a certain degree.
Well, if we talk about our Students of Concern committee, individuals report anonymously that, here's a particular student who we might be concerned about, and that can be for many different reasons. And so, regards to reporting, everything is maintained anonymously, so people don't have to worry about that. And it's the responsibility of the committee to just contact those individuals through a variety of sources to just see what's going on and get them connected to services.
That's great. So you mentioned in the training module, teaching students to maybe identify some of the most worrisome behaviors. Would you be able to share a few of those with our listeners who, may have a child or a grandchild who, they're concerned about?
So absolutely. So psychological distress is a broad term that we use, and psychological distress can be anything from a student who is expressing that they want to commit suicide, they want to kill themselves. It could be ranging from just individuals being anxious or stressed. Psychological distress could be someone who is having issues with food and eating, or even excessive use of alcohol or drugs.
Okay. Tends to be some of those things pretty common in younger populations, too.
Absolutely.
You also mentioned what to say, what not to say, some of those things, the way you even just phrase words and sentences, give us some examples of what to say to somebody maybe who's experiencing psychological distress.
Well, you definitely want to avoid making judgments, and you want to avoid using negative, labels. And so you don't you don't want to say things that are going to make the person feel put up a defense, right? So why are you acting like this? Or if someone's sharing that they're having some alarming thoughts, you don't want to say things like, I can't believe that you're thinking about this, or, just get over it. Those are some of the things that you don't want to do. Really, you just really want to be a good listener, and then trying to offer hope to that person, persuading them, try to persuade them to get help, and then of course directing them to the appropriate source for that help.
Yeah. Just trying to take them maybe out of that moment and say, well, things are really bad now, but they may not be tomorrow or next week or next month. And sometimes it's really hard for people to break out of those scenarios. So This is a great program. And LaSalle actually implemented this training before a recent a House bill in Pennsylvania was passed. Then this is a law, right, requiring each institution of higher education to develop and implement a plan like this to advise students and staff on mental health and suicide prevention.
Absolutely, absolutely. We were very fortunate to start doing this before that became mandated, and so we're very grateful to have the funding to do some really innovative things around suicide prevention and just overall mental health for our students. We know that many of our students are just dealing with so many different situations, and more students are coming into the college experience with mental health issues. And so, we're just really excited to be at the forefront of this issue and just really trying to offer services for not only students but faculty and staff, and so that we can, all of us on campus can really just promote mental wellness and really break down the stigma associated with mental health.
Absolutely, because this is, you made a great point. This is not something that just affects young people. It affects children, teenagers, people throughout their lives. So thank you so much for being with us. Serita Reels from Salle University talking about their suicide prevention program. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and continue to tune in.